Hey everybody, welcome to Bad Relationship Advice with Damon and Monica. Damon and Monica, excuse me. Wow, it's been a long time, Monica. We haven't chatted in a while.
No, we have not. How's it going? Good. Me too. All right. So what are we going to talk about today?
Recently Pixar came out with a movie called Soul, and the whole concept of the movie is something I wanted to kind of chat about today because the main character, he lives his whole life because his whole thing is like he identifies with music. He's like, I'm a musician. I'm a musician. Once I am able to do music full time as a professional, then that's gonna be it. Like that's my life. That's everything's gonna be changed. Everything's gonna change. Everything's gonna be good, right? And what he discovers through the course of the film is that, and this is something that you and I were talking about earlier, is that all of those moments leading up to that big thing that we think is going to make our life, all of those moments leading up to that is our life. And we get caught up in, it's easy for us to forget about that. It's easy for us to forget that every second of the day, whether you're sitting on the couch watching TV, whether you're sleeping, whether you're hanging out with friends, whether you're reading a blog or listening to an amazing podcast like Bad Relationship Advice, um, that's
Uh-huh.
that's your life.
Yeah.
That's your life, and I feel like
This
that's
is it.
that's it. And it's like I almost feel like we were raised to like ignore all of that. Like, I feel like, I don't know about your upbringing, but my upbringing was like, you need to be goal oriented. You need to be focused on your, future, and you need to have objectives in life and be working towards those objectives. And it's like, I don't remember anyone ever saying, but like, don't forget that every second that leads up to that objective is also your life. And if you're not making the most of those seconds, then you're kind of wasting it in a way.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I think that's true. It's like you're not, no second is more important than any other second in a sense, right? So, like, just kind of keeping that in mind, already, not to kind of this idea of it's going to somehow happen in the future, um sort of negates the present, and all we have is the present. So
Well, like for you, I think you used to live in San Francisco. Now you're living in Paris. Did you think that at some point, did you think like when you got to Paris, like things would be different?
the only reason why I even like moved to Paris was because I didn't know what I wanted to do in life. So I figured if I moved to Paris, at least I'll have like kind of a cool backdrop to my life. Not that like San Francisco is not a cool backdrop, but
That's
I
true.
just felt I just felt at least I'd be not knowing what to do in Paris, so at least I could be somewhere else. You know what I mean? So that's really like all I was thinking. I didn't have any sort of big expectations about moving here. Um, I mean, yeah, of course, I thought it would be different, but I didn't know different in what way. So, I just sort of showed up and here I am. But did my life change for the better? No. Did it
Well,
change for the worse? No. It's in the end, you still like get up, drink coffee or whatever, take a shower, go to work, you know, with, I mean, yeah, it's nice to be living in a cool place where you have these options, but the everyday is not that different from anyone else's everyday, I would
right.
say.
Well, and I
Uh,
think maybe that's. I mean, when you left San Francisco, was it because you felt like something? Why did you leave?
I left because I wanted to see if I could start from scratch, where I could, in a place where I know absolutely nobody and I have no ties, and just basically I wanted to see like if there was, something happened where my city, my whole existence, wherever I lived was completely destroyed. It's not so dramatic because like people didn't die or whatever. And then I had to move somewhere else and start over. Like, what would that be like to just completely cut ties with everyone I knew and so on where I grew up? And could I sort of make new ties somewhere else? And the answer is yes, I can. but not that it was an easy thing because it takes time. The whole thing of like, it's not like you're going to make your, super close friends overnight. It takes a really long time. So it was kind of a social experiment, I would say. I just wanted
Wow.
to see if I could do it. And I think I had this like fear of, like, showing up in a new town or whatever where I didn't know anyone and just sort of starting over. That's always been a fear that was chasing me. So I'm like, I'm just gonna do it. I'll just take the plunge and do it.
You faced
Um,
your fear head on.
I faced that one head on.
You
Yes.
bought it. You
Yeah.
bought a ticket, and you said, "All right, we're doing this."
Yes. But yeah, but we digress. So the present moment, yeah, how does one live in the present moment in that case? Like how does okay, so because it's like one of those things that I think we tend to we hear people talk about that and we might say it ourselves and so on, but like for whatever reason it's actually very hard to do. And I think part of it is because we have the right and left brain, not to get really scientific because I'm not even but it's I think it's the left brain part, where we're just kind of the planning part is like part of our what that left brain does. And so we're constantly thinking in the future, okay, what's going to happen and so on. So when we are not thinking in terms of the present, all this stuff that we're thinking of, for example, we're washing dishes. So let's just take like a very very basic example. We're washing dishes and we're
Right.
thinking,
Right,
okay,
and
I
that's
have to
one
go
of those
shopping.
activities that we just would just assume forget about, but it's just as much a part of our life as standing on the podium and receiving the Nobel Prize.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, and the thing is, like, what we do when we wash dishes is we consider that moment inferior to other things that may happen in the future. So we feel like this is a good time for me to think about what I'm going to be doing next. Like, I'm going to go to the store. What do I have to buy? Even though that's pretty, like not even like very unexciting, like kind of basic thoughts like that, we will still
Sure.
have those thoughts. And, we're not going to be focusing on washing dishes. But what does that mean to focus on washing dishes? Because even that could be beyond.
Well, and I think like Eckhart
Yeah.
Tolle reminds us to use those moments to simply enjoy everything that can be enjoyed by that. It's like, okay, I'm washing the dishes. The soap smells nice. The water is warm. The sound of the water, just noticing, I guess noticing those things without necessarily judging them, but then enjoying it as well. I had a friend who we got into an argument about ironing. I was sitting there in his living room and he's ironing. He's like, God, I hate ironing. And I was like, it's not like the worst thing in the world. You can find things about ironing to enjoy. The warmth of the clothes, the smell of the fabric softener, when you pick up your shirt after you've ironed it and it looks nice, you can enjoy those things. And he's like, no, I hate everything about ironing. I hate it. And I was just like, I feel like you're not okay. You know what I mean? Like that. I don't feel like it has to be that way. I feel like it's a choice to feel like I hate doing this job when you can also choose to simply stop thinking about it, stop judging it, stop, being frustrated or angry with the fact that you have to iron your clothes and just do it. And simply by stopping the thinking about it and just doing it, you can somehow find enjoyment in it.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think that the labeling and your friend seems like he gets really worked up about the whole ironing thing. But what is it about it that's so hard for him, right?
Right.
Like, what is happening here that makes him hate it so much? Is he getting his skin peeled off of him? Like, what is
Right.
happening? Why is this like such a painful experience for him?
I mean, he might be just thinking about, I could be doing something else instead of this, but I have to do this, and there's just this whole mental narrative happening that's it's self-imposed.
They did this experiment on people who were kind of they found the key to happiness, by the way. I don't know if I've talked to you about this. The key to happiness is, yes, they have done this research. They've done this experiment where they experimented people who were doing whatever activity at all. And it could be something as really annoying as being stuck in traffic. And the people who were thinking were in the present, kind of like focused on where they are and so on, and just aware of where they are, not having their minds wander. So it's about not having your mind wander. If their minds were not wandering while they were stuck in traffic, they were much more happy than if their mind wandered, even if their minds wandered about happier moments, including like fun vacations or whatever. So not having our minds wander is the key to happiness, and not having our minds wander is being in the present moment. That's
Right.
it. That's all it
Yeah.
is.
Actually, Netflix has got a series out right now. It's in conjunction with the app that's called Headspace, and it's about meditation. And that's the purpose of every meditative activity. Is you're sitting there, and it's just like you notice, you are aware of your breathing. You're not focusing hard on it, but they describe it as a soft focus. You soft focus on your breathing, aware of your breathing, aware of the air coming in, aware of the air going out, noticing the sounds around you. And if thoughts happen in your brain, which of course they are, let them happen, let the thoughts come, and as soon as you realize that your mind is wandering, you just gently bring it back to your breathing. And it's just that practice of becoming aware of what you're saying, the present moment, the moment that you're in at that time, and not trying not to think, because that actually that's not helpful. The benefit comes from simply realizing that your mind is wandering, because as soon as you realize it, it's no longer wandering. It's no longer doing its own thing.
Because you're kind of observing your own mind, right?
Exactly. Like the second you can say, I realized that my mind has wandered and I'm thinking about, the snowstorm or whatever. It's like, and then that realization brings you back into the present moment, because instead of being in these thoughts, which take you out of it, you suddenly realize you're having those thoughts, and that brings you back.
Yeah. I think a good litmus test would be like, when was the last time, describe the last time you washed the dishes. For example, going back to my dishes washing example, right? Do you remember what happened? And I would say a lot of people would not remember what happened. They knew that they washed the dishes, but they don't actually remember doing it, right? Because we do that stuff on automatic pilot a lot of the time.
True.
So
yeah, I'm not remembering. Yeah, actually, one of the pans had a lot of dirt, food on it, and I really had to scrape that pan. I mean,
okay.
I guess
so there was an awareness there.
I guess if you ask somebody to remember that, it would be a really interesting experiment, actually. How many people would remember that? Yeah, I had cooked eggs earlier that morning, so the frying pan was a little, had some grime on it. I really had to work to get that off.
Yeah, but also like things like even more other things, like the whole thing, like, if you can get really deep into that moment, so it would be, what did you wash? What was the lights? Like, what was, how did you, all of the kind of senses, right? If you can remember as much details as you can, that's, I think, a good test for how much one was in the present moment. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, like I was watching Eckhart Tolle last night, and he was saying something about the absence of thought is not memorable. So I'm wondering if that, when we're washing the dishes, maybe that's not particularly an absence of thought moment, because you are doing something, right? But are you thinking about something else, or are you focused on what you're doing? I guess is the difference.
I don't really know what he means by the absence of thought.
Like if you're just sitting there doing nothing and thinking nothing, like in a meditation.
Is there an absence of thought?
I think that's the whole point, is to not think.
But can you do that? I can't do that. I think my mind is always going to start thinking about something at some point, but I think the idea is to bring it back. I don't know how. Maybe it takes, like, you have to be like really on that spiritual mountain to get there, but I don't know if it's possible, because I feel like thoughts always come. It's just a question of letting them kind of go through you in a sense, and
Right. Not following them.
not following them. Yeah, just kind of taking, almost like watching your thoughts,
Yeah.
observing them the way you observe the clouds. You observe the clouds, you look outside, and okay, here's a cloud, you're looking, okay, here's another thought, here's another thought, you just,
Yeah.
okay, that's
I think that's it. I think that is the absence of thought, because yeah, thoughts are coming, but you're not thinking. You're not pursuing them.
You're not pursuing them. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly like you say, you're watching the clouds.
Mm-hmm.
That's different. It's like when you
Mm-hmm.
jump on that cloud and follow it, then you're lost.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're lost
Yeah.
in thought.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing how we can get ourselves into like a funk based on thoughts that we have. And when we're
Right.
able to, you know what I mean? Like I was listening to this song by Stromae. I don't know if you know who that is.
Oh yeah.
Do you?
It's
Okay.
Maestro backwards. Is he a Belgian musician?
He's, I don't know, because it's in French, but I guess it could be Belgian. I'm not sure where he's from originally. And anyway, he did a song called Conseil. A conseil is like when, like, kind of like, when is it, and it's about, why am I thinking about this? Oh yeah, okay. So it's about, it's a really, really beautiful song, but it's about cancer. Like
Oh.
when kind of like, when is it my turn, or when is it coming?
Oh.
And
And the it is
it's
death.
really dark, but it's so beautiful. And then I was thinking about that song. I played it last night, and then I played it again today, and then I was like thinking about, this idea of having cancer and so on. And then all of a sudden I just felt really, really kind of depressed and all of this stuff, because I just had this fear of like, well, what if, and then I thought about the fact that, well, what if I may, get it at some point, that's always been kind of a thought of mine.
Right.
And then I thought, oh, I'm feeling kind of down. And then I thought, well, what did I just tell myself? And I kind of like followed the string of my thoughts. I said, oh, well, clearly I'm feeling down because I'm having all of these rather depressing thoughts, kind of scary thoughts. And checking myself, just doing that, of just checking my thoughts and what I told myself, I said, well, this isn't like, for me right now, like a real, nothing has happened to make me actually go with that thought, but I just kind of almost like without realizing
You
it,
got lost in it. Yeah.
I got lost in it, and then I start to feel depressed. And it's the kind of being in the present is also like observing your thoughts and telling yourself, okay, what did I just tell myself?
Right.
That makes me feel how I feel at this moment, something. But oftentimes we just feel like, I feel like shit, what happened? Well, it's the taking a step back and asking yourself, what just happened in your brain that makes you feel really sad, or whatever. What did you tell
Right.
yourself? Did you just tell yourself something like you're not good enough for whatever reason,
Right.
and or something horrible is going to happen, even though you have no evidence that something horrible is going to happen, or whatever. So the idea is, it's almost like taking your brain to court.
Sure. Oh, well, that's funny.
Cross-examine and just be
Well,
like,
yeah,
okay, is
because
this really
perspective is a huge thing. Like, am I experiencing solitude, which can be a wonderful experience, or am I experiencing loneliness, which is a negative experience, right? Am I alone and longing to be with somebody, or am I grateful for being able to spend some time alone? And obviously it's different for everybody, but it sounds like it's the idea of perspective too.
Yeah, it's a perspective. And also kind of, again, I think a lot of loneliness, the feeling of loneliness may also come from the thoughts we have around it, because
Right.
oftentimes we can be alone in a room, in our
True.
room, and we can be
True.
completely alone and be completely fine,
Right.
or we could be exactly in the same situation and feel completely lonely,
Yeah.
based on what we have told ourselves,
Right.
you know.
And yeah, exactly.
So, um, well, so
Well.
back to the film. I don't know. You started off on a film. I haven't seen a film. We're doing a thing on a film I haven't watched. Did you actually watch the film or
Yeah,
did
I've seen it
somebody?
twice actually, and it was actually the first time I saw it. I didn't really get it, and I had to see it a second time, and I still don't feel like I totally got it, but I think I got it a lot better. But like, he like at different points in the film, he notices the little helicopter seeds falling out of a maple tree on a fall afternoon, and he notices the air blowing out of a vent and how it feels good to feel the air blowing on him, and he notices the taste of a lollipop, and he notices the conversation that he has is at the barber shop, and all these things are brought to his attention, and it like just hits him like a ton of bricks. Like, fuck, this is my life. All of these things are my life. I'm so focused on being a musician that I don't even notice this other stuff. And each one of these things bring joy into my life if I just take the moment to notice them.
Yeah.
So I think that's the point.
Yeah. Well, that sounds like a good lesson to learn about life.
Seriously, yeah. It's interesting to hear that, to see that from Pixar. I mean, Pixar's, they always are able to make movies that tug at your heartstrings, But this was like on a different level. Totally different question, but somehow related. Do you feel like humanity is moving toward a more spiritual state?
Oh, I hope so. I think it's kind of, the battle between the people who are kind of waking up and people who want to remain sort of unawake in a way.
Yeah.
Um, but I hope it moves in that direction. I feel like there's always kind of a lot of resistance and sort of let's continue along this illusion of, again, the things that are important as, being sort of money and status and so on, which, yeah, and doing everything including destroying each other in order to get there, right?
Yeah.
And then when we get there, it's like feeling this complete emptiness, because that's not where we're supposed to be anyway.
Right.
But anyway, that, yeah, I hope so. I feel like some people are, but there's always going to be that resistance, and I don't know. What do you think?
I feel like a lot of signs are pointing towards yes, but then again, there might just be be me getting older and becoming more spiritually aware myself, and so I just kind of think everyone else is too. So I don't know. I feel like on the whole we are moving towards some greater level of awareness, because if you look at the timeline of humanity from the time we were able to first speak our first words to now, like we've definitely been increasing our level of awareness the whole time. So I think we are continuing on that trajectory. So hopefully that will continue. All right. Well, it has been a pleasure chatting with you, Monica.
Okay, Damian. Likewise.
And we will continue our exploration into the soul and the spiritual realm on our next episode of Bad Relationship Advice. See you later.